What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the RPS Swing for the Fences show. I got the heavy hitters with me today. We're coming in hot with my guys, Big T and DC. We'll start off with my boy DC after he had a nice weekend with the girlfriend. You feel recharged, refreshed, DC?
I do, yeah. The core place hit last night was in the green. Not as much as you with the shipping the live final seat, but was a good return to baseball. And this Tuesday slate, 13 games tonight, and I think this is the best slate of the year so far. A bunch of different ways you can go. Good hitting weather across the country, no real weather issues. Great pitchers. The return of my guy Adalberto Mondesi back in the lineup, playing his first game of the year. The only downside, I just heard Kyle Gibson went on the 10-day IL. So that's, a little taking a little wind out of my sails. But other than that, excited to talk this slate. I think it's going to be a fun one.
That's all right, because my boy Big T brings the good mojo all the time. So he'll help you out in this department here, even though Kyle Gibson's on the IL. Big T, what's up, buddy?
It's an honor to be on here with you two again. A fresh week. Guy wins a freaking tournament last night, a final seat. DC's always picking winners coming off workbench weekend. There's no way we can lose. There's no way we can lose today.
Workbench weekend. I like that.
Yeah, it's got a good ring to it. I mean, I'm sure DC was ready to get back after the weekend, long weekend. Probably not as much sports for a guy like DC, because I'm sure he's kind of like me. When I get sports deprived, I get a little,
I can take it for a day or two, but not much longer than that.
Yeah, the girlfriend knows when I start pulling out my phone trying to find out some. Oh, nothing. I'm just checking something real quick.
I don't like have any contests in. I'm just like instinctively pulling out my phone and clicking on the MLB app just because it's like source of habit or whatever.
Yeah, it goes right to it. You just like click it, you open it, and it goes right to it. You can't help it. I mean, sorry, honey.
It is the fun. You have an issue though when that happens. I do it all. Like even after the games are over at night. You're so used to like doing it. You pull it. You're like, what am I even looking for? There's nothing on here.
Even after like a sport ends, like when basketball or especially baseball ends, it'll be like 2 weeks later, and I'll like pull out my phone, not even thinking to like click the app, and like there hasn't been a game in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's good. All right, before we get into all the picks and the plays and everything like that, guys, hit that like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel. I mean, if you like all this content that we're giving you, should just give us that free thumbs up. We appreciate it. We love it. And, we're going to try and bring all the winners we can to this show, as we normally do on the Tuesday show. So hit that like button. DC, you hit it on the head here. This slate is really interesting. A lot of good pitchers. I mean, just give like a quick general overview of the slate, because you talked about it a little bit, but just a little more into this slate, because 13 games, a lot to dive into today.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, there are pretty good pitching options, at the very top end. Obviously, Jacob deGrom, best pitcher in the world. He returns from, he pitched once, but he's pretty much pitched twice in the last 2 months. And he's 11-8. So DraftKings kind of fixed the price a little bit on him, right? He was kind of sitting below 11K for too long. He was kind of a must play. Interesting spot here because, he is coming off one rehab start where, only threw like 44 pitches. So he's an interesting option. You've got Max Scherzer. My guy Corbin Burns is up there on the slate. And then down at the bottom, I think some decent options too. So like I said, just a ton of places you can go with pitching. You could make the case for 8 or 9 stacks tonight, I think, at least, with all the good weather across the country. I really prefer baseball kind of in the summer mode when it's 80, 85 degrees everywhere. And there's going to be a lot of offense. And, just tons of home runs tonight. I think it's going to be a very, very high scoring slate, which is more fun. I'm not necessarily saying it's the biggest edge slate of the year or anything like that, but just in terms of watching baseball and the entertainment, I think it's the best baseball day overall that we've had all year. So excited for that. And from that perspective, at least.
Yeah, and I apologize for my mic sounding like shit. It's probably because I didn't have my actual mic plugged in. So I just fixed that. Yeah. I just fixed it. It should sound good now. I apologize for the first 5 minutes of crappy mic JSU. Big T, I just feel like a noob here because I just had to fix my whole situation here. It's like being on mute and talking for like 30 seconds straight, which we all do at times. But give me a quick general overview for you on the slate.
Yeah, I mean, like you guys said, a million ways you can go on offense, without a doubt. Pitching's where it gets interesting, though. There's a ton of guys at the top, and I think that the decision of the night is everyone's going to play Andrew Heaney at 6,200, and I just don't think he's any good. He's got shellacked 2 straight games, just got beat up both games, and he's going to come back as chalk. But then he's got my favorite matchup, though, against your guys' Texas team. So I'm super torn. I can't wait to hear what DC says when we get to that. But this is a great slate, like you guys said. There's a million ways you can go at pitcher, million ways you can play as far as hitters. And the ownership's not going to be high on anything because there's so many games and good spots. So this is as good as it gets for baseball. And I'm glad there's big tournaments on the board tonight, too, because of it.
My guy, Big T, said Texas, and the desk started rumbling underneath me. I started to hear it shake a little bit. I couldn't help it, but it started to rumble a little.
Could play him again tonight. I mean, that could be my answer, to just load your bats up against Heaney. Ultimate leverage.
Even Reggie got up and did a little woof woof. So
without the balls, he still got up?
Yeah, he got up. He gave a woof woof. I mean, he's ready to go. Texas might be the winner already. We might not. Show's over, guys. We figured it out. It's Texas. We've just end the show now, Simon. No, I'm kidding. So before we get into the actual slate, though, and the pitchers, I just want to, push our guy Redmond 130 again. He hit for 4K. On a nice little MLB slate last night. So congrats to you. He had a nice team with Brandon Woodruff, Frankie Montas. And then he had some Minnesota Twins and some Baltimore guys mixed up in his lineup. And I think he had a Cleveland one-off here. So that was his team, pretty much Minnesota and Baltimore guys all over with one-off from Cleveland. So shout out to you for taking down that 4K, one of our members, Redmond 130. Congrats again. And then, Big T said it a little bit. I finally got a Q. NBA was tough sledding for JSU on the Qs. Big T owned me. Had a couple seats for sure. I finally got in the win column, though, with the Qs here with the baseball seat. So it's my first one. Feeling pretty happy about it. Hopefully I can add another one tonight, Big T, and try and get above you here. I'm trying to get over Big T, all right? So I need another one.
You're already above me. I mean, no. I'm number 3 on this show for sure, so you're already ahead of me.
No, DC, I got to jump over him here. So I got to get another seat to jump over Big T. He's winning too much. I mean, he's taking down everything, even friggin' NASCAR he ships.
You didn't see me finish dead last in the NBA final, so I don't.
At least you were there, and you had 2 of them. Like, I mean, I don't know what you want. You own me, so I'm gonna get there though. I gotta own Big T in something. So it's happening this year, DC. I'm gonna own Big T.
I hope so. I'll be rooting for you.
This is
thank you.
Yeah.
No, I love it. I love it. Roles reversed, even when JSU wins.
I wish that screenshot showed your team that had our boy Mr. Ref Snyder in there.
Oh no, Simon's got the Simon. Throw up the screenshot of the team too, so Big T can see it.
Winner.
Big T actually, I got to shout Big T out too because Big T got me on Rough Snyder, which helped the entire build. And then we were talking about Cronenworth a little. If you watch the Up to Lock show, which me and Big T do a lot over at Run Pure Sports, we have an Up to Lock show, rotating, guests on all the shows, obviously, but we did that at 5:30 p.m. Eastern time every day, Monday through Friday. And we were on there and we were talking NBA and MLB, but as we were getting close to lock, we were talking up this exact lineup. And I left Big T, this was the strategy we talked about. I left 4,900. I'm sorry, 4,900 on the table for this team. Talk about that real quick.
You left 5K on the table and shipped it. That's a baller ass move right there. That's even better.
So I went the 2 cheap pitcher route, and if you watch the show, I said there were 3 pitchers I was playing. It was Gomber, Montas, and Peterson. And I just rotated those 3 pitchers. I had 3 lineups that I played yesterday, and I rotated all of them. So I had obviously 2 on each team on DK. And Yeah, I just said if those cheap pitchers get me there and my hitters can do just enough, I can get there. Me and Tony talked about it and got me to the winner's circle, Tony. And I know you had some success too.
Yeah, I mean, I had 5,000, 7,000, 8,000. The teams yesterday were funny, and they got there. I mean, Minnesota did need the late burst, but it doesn't matter how you get there. Our Minnesota team got there, whatever it was, the 8th inning or whatever that big inning was. Doesn't matter on low-scoring nights. That's why I love baseball. It doesn't take much, and that one big inning from the Twins basically won the night.
Yeah, Joey works in the chat. He goes, JSU said, who's Rough Snyder? This is true. Like, I did say it. Big T's like, he's going to hit a bomb or something. And I'm like, perfect. He's going in my lineup. It fits with my Minnesota stack. So that's how you pick winners at RPS, all right? Like DC, that's how we do it.
That works, man. Big G says he's going to hit a bomb. You put him in your lineup. He hits a bomb. You're off for the races. What more do you want?
I mean, that's it. It's not much more. So if you guys want to sign up, watch the show Monday through Friday. RPS Heater 25 is the promo code. It will get you 25% off your first month's payment. So RPS Heater 25. Use that promo code for 25% off your first payment for any monthly subscription we got over at RPS. With that, though, enough stroking. We need to dive into this 13-game slate. We'll start at the pitcher, and then we'll work our way through the positions. DC, I'm going to start with you. And you talked about it. You said this pitching slate is very interesting because there are so many friggin' good pitchers on this slate and a lot of pitchers that we don't usually see in certain price ranges. Let's just start at the top, DC, and we got Scherzer, we got DeGrom, we've got Musgrove, Flaherty, Corbin Burns, who you've been really high on this season, Jose Berrios, starting this like 9K and above range on DraftKings. What are we doing here?
I think the first choice of the night, at least for me, is whether or not to play Jacob DeGrom here. Because, I mean, he's at home. He gets this horrible, horrible Colorado lineup. I mean, you know, they're terrible when they get away from Coors Field. Bunch of right-handers in there. I fully expect him to dominate, you know, when he's in the game, but there are some question marks here. I mean, he's only pitched one time in May. That was on May 9th when he pulled himself from the game after 68 pitches. And that was before he got scratched before that last start. So 68 pitches there, pulls himself, goes on the IL. He did pitch 5 or 6 days ago at single A. Velocity was good and everything. He was sitting over 100, 8 strikeouts in 3 innings, but only threw, I think, 41 or 42 pitches in that game. So, you know, in game situations in the last 28 days, he's thrown like a total of like 110 pitches, which normally, you know, teams would be very cautious with a pitcher coming off of that little workload. Well, I don't know. I don't know if they'll do that with DeGrom. I'm hearing G. Risen just texted me or DM'd me in our Discord that no restrictions for DeGrom is what they're saying. I haven't seen the source on that yet myself, but G. Risen's telling me that. I assume it's true. And if he's good to go, I mean, he's going to smash this team. So 8K on DraftKings is a lot to pay, 12K on FanDuel, but man, he's fantastic. So that's kind of the first choice for me. I just don't know if I fully trust it, right? And that's a lot to pay if he's going to be limited to like 75, 80 pitches. So that's the first choice to me. But of course, Max, I think, is okay. He's probably a fade. And then Corbin Burns is a guy that I feel really good about at 9,100. I think he's 10-2 on FanDuel. I mean, he's just been fantastic all season long. You were telling me you won that, leaving the money on the table, JSU. I'm surprised you didn't upgrade to Brandon Woodruff with that extra cash, who was awesome yesterday. And Woodruff isn't on the same level of Burns. So I think people kind of faded Woodruff because of the matchup, right? Perceived tough matchup against San Diego. It doesn't matter for these guys, I don't think. So I think Burns is going to mow through this team just like Woodruff did, but with more strikeouts even. So he's my top guy at 9,100. I think it would be close to me even taking him straight up over DeGrom. I think Burns is that level of pitcher, and you do get a nice discount. So he's my number one tonight.
Yeah, I think for me on that last night's slate, I just saw that it was different, right? I saw 3 cheap pitchers who I thought on one day
I agree, all those
could
outscore,
could possibly outscore a bunch of the top tier guys. And I knew it was going to be different to do. So that's where it kind of came in. It wasn't that I hated Woodruff. I just thought that there's a shot that these guys could, one or two of these guys could go out there and outscore him. Now, obviously, Woodruff had a great day, and Gomber had a great game, and Montas. So whatever. I mean, was it right or wrong? You could say maybe it was wrong, but at the same time, I'm looking at it as just a one-day slate. Obviously, over time, I would take Woodruff all day, right?
Yeah, sure, sure. I mean, you ship the seat. I'm not trying to throw shade at you. Obviously, I kind of bring it up. Because I wonder if Burns will go a little bit overlooked tonight, perhaps with all these great options. And I mean, I was really surprised to see Woodruff at like 28% on a 6-game slate yesterday. I mean, to me, he was kind of a bit of a slam dunk option. So we'll see. I'm just to reiterate that the main thing is don't be scared of this lineup for the Padres. Burns should have no issue kind of mowing these guys down. So he is the top guy for me.
Yeah, and that could possibly be it, maybe. And there's so many good pitching options on the slate. Honestly, DC, I wouldn't be shocked if he was lower than even you thought.
Well, I mean, obviously with so many pitching options, 13 games, everyone's going to be lower. But I'm just saying relative to maybe he'll be the 5th or 6th highest owned pitcher or something like that. That would be pretty crazy to me and would make me even more. I think he should be the highest owned, I guess is kind of what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. All right. Well, Tony, let's bring it over to you. And first off, our boy Mangone's in the chat. He's saying, Tony, DC, guess who's in the 1,500 tonight, boys? Our guy Mangone's got a ticket in there. So
did he finally grow a pair, or did he win a ticket?
He won a ticket, it sounds like.
Yeah. I think he won a ticket, but still, he's in there, Tony. He's got a seat in there, so we got to shout him out for that.
For when he's on the show. What show were we? We hoarded him the whole show one day.
Yeah, it was a couple weeks ago, I think. Yeah, me and you.
And he just didn't get in it. He had the willpower of I've never seen anything like it. We were all over him. I thought for sure we were going to get him.
And then he predictably, once he filled, he claimed he was going to join, of course.
Yeah, exactly.
What wasn't it this exact tournament too on DK like a couple weeks ago? This show it was the exact tournament. This $1,500 tournament, and you guys were trying to really push him into buying into it, and he wouldn't. I give him credit though; he held his ground. I was really shocked because you guys were going at him.
That's what we were saying. We were like, either of us would have wilted to the peer pressure easily.
Definitely.
I would have folded like after the first minute of you guys going at me. Like I would have completely folded for sure. So that is good. Tony, well, first off, DeGrom, not DeGrom. Where are you at with him? And then, Corbin Burns, what about him?
So my issue with DeGrom, I think, is just that he's $3K more than a couple of guys I like Giolito and Burns. Both very, very good plays to me. And with the concerns about how deep DeGrom will go, I don't want to pay an extra $3K for him. I just don't think he has the same ceiling there's no way he goes super deep. If we're lucky, maybe he goes 90 to 100 in that range, like fully top end, I think. But he could get pulled at 70 or something, and I wouldn't be shocked today. I mean, we just don't know. So if it was a different slate and there was bad pitching, I wouldn't have a problem with it because I think he is safe. I think he gets you like 20 to 25 fantasy points probably. But I just don't know if he has like Burns. Burns could get us 40. Giolito could get us 40. Scherzer could get us 40. I mean, these guys could get a lot of points. I don't know. Like he would have to be like 9,800 and then I would play him. But the extra salary, I mean, it's just too expensive without the ceiling. So I'll be fading DeGrom. And I like Max probably more than DC for sure. Cincinnati, I'm not worried about the lineup all that much. I don't know. He struck out a bunch of guys. What was it, 2 games ago when he went crazy? No, 3 games ago he struck out 14. But we've seen that ceiling, 7 and 8 strikeouts the next 2 games. I don't know. I like Max. My issue with Max is the same thing, though. I mean, the 2 guys that just stare at me are Burns and Giolito. I really don't see any issue with no downside to either one of them. And the prices match up where if you're paying 2 pitchers around 9K like they are, I can pretty much do whatever I want with the bats still and get 2 stud pitchers. They're the 2 best plays to me. But if I have a perfect team and can upgrade to Scherzer. Maybe I do on some teams, but honestly, Giolito and Burns could be the two leading scoring guys, even at cheaper price tags.
Yeah, that makes sense. I do have a couple quotes from the manager on Jacob deGrom that just came out in the last few minutes. These are from Mets beat writers. Luis Rojas, that's Mets manager, reiterates that Jacob deGrom won't be under any sort of pitch or innings limit in his return from the IL tonight. The Mets will let deGrom go until they think he's done enough, similar to any other start. Another one, different writer. The Mets will monitor Jacob deGrom's outing and the stress he faces in each inning. Is he on a pitch count? Quote from the manager, let's see how far he can take us. So take that for what you will.
I mean,
all right.
I think you can count on, like, if I had to bet, I would bet in that 90 to 100 range, like right in there. But
yeah,
I wouldn't be shocked though if he went. I'd be stunned if he went above that. I wouldn't be stunned if he got.
He really hasn't been. He's been between 90 and 100 most of his starts anyway. So he's not. He doesn't get like the Scherzer 110 plus very often.
Yeah.
And are we mad if he goes 95 or 100?
No, I mean you're happy, but
if you told me
you have the risk of him going 70 though.
If you told me he was going to throw 95 pitches tonight, I would play him. I'll say that much.
I'd play him. I think everyone should play him if he knew he was going to throw 95 for sure. I get the guaranteed 95 pitches. Sign me up.
So it's the fear though of, do we get him to that 90 to 100 range? Because there is a possibility they pull him right before then. Depending on how the game goes.
A guy like Giolito went 111 last game. I mean, you could realistically get an extra 2 innings from a guy like Giolito or something.
There's also that. deGrom got scratched from a start, then started his next one, then had to pull himself from the game, and he's pitched one time since then. Like, we don't know for sure that he's fully healthy. I mean, I think the most likely thing is he is, but there's just added risk, like you're saying, Big T. And when he's so expensive and there are other good options, I get it. You just got to make that decision for yourself. Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of good pitchers.
There are. Yep.
If it was a different slate, I would play him. I'm not scared to play him at all. It's just you don't need it today.
Yeah.
He still might be the safest, too. Like, if you had to bet one guy to get 20 or just have a really good game, not give up any runs, strike out 8 guys, like, he'd be your guy still. It's just I don't know. Like, I think you can bank him in for, like, 20 fantasy points tonight.
It's just weird because the matchup is so good when you kind of balance that with the added risk of him, coming back from injury and perhaps being limited in a little bit. So yeah, I don't know. We probably talked enough about it. I think everyone can kind of make their decision.
I wonder if he ends up lower on them. This is just
I think he does. Yeah. Is where I'm trying to get at.
Us that he comes in like between 10 and 20%, then he's back in play on.
Oh, then I play him for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And that could be just because the price tag is high.
Really, really hard to guess his ownership percentage tonight. There's just so many factors in play.
Yeah, for me, I think the matchup is so good. I could take the shot that he has a few really easy innings in the beginning. He's rolling. He's they just kind of let him go a little bit more. Now, obviously, if he tweaks something, they're going to pull him right out. Like, we all know that, and that's a concern and a worry. For sure. But that's going to force people to maybe be uncomfortable enough to not pay 11.8 for him. And in my head, that makes me think he's going to be lower than what people may think when they just look at deGrom's name and the matchup. I think personally he could end up being lower than what we all think. But like you said, that's enough talk. We kind of talked about the concerns and what we think and what we're going to do.
I don't know how many lineups you're playing JSU. I mean, I think I'm going to play 10. I'll have exposure to deGrom. Not like 100% or anything. Sounds like Big T's going to fade for the most part.
Oh, it's just how I can flip though. I mean, if we get the feeling.
Also, if you can build a lineup that you like around him, that kind of obviously is a big factor too.
Yeah. I mean,
right. Yeah.
I could definitely circle back. I mean, I'm not totally against it.
Yeah, so I'm probably going to play 3 lineups today on DK, maybe 4, but 4 would be the max. And I could see myself playing at least 1, maybe 2 deGrom lineups. Like, I'm not afraid, honestly. Like, if he gets pulled, I know the risk of playing deGrom right now. Like, I understand it. So I'm not going to be angry. If you're someone who's going to be angry, though, and tilted if he gets pulled after, 70 pitches, you shouldn't play him. This is my point, though. Like, I know that. So going in, if that happens to me, I just live with it, right?
Yeah. The thing is, he's never going to get pulled after like 3 innings or something. Like he's gonna,
unless he's not healthy,
actually hurt. But
right.
Yeah, you would assume though, if he's not healthy, they're not even putting him out here in this spot.
I mean, the Mets are like the worst at that, but still, yeah.
Okay, good point. good, valid point there, DC. But let's move on to a 8K range where Tony's talked about Giolito. I think DC might have brought him up a little bit. There's so many good options, and maybe not the best matchup, but Corey Kluber's coming off just an absolute dominant performance against Texas where he dropped 51 DraftKings points. I don't love him here. I don't love, honestly, attacking pitchers coming off those type of games. But, DC, what do you think of this 8K range, and is there anyone you really love?
Yeah, I'm with Big T. I think Giolito is the top option here coming off his best outing of the year. He's had a kind of a disappointing up and down year so far after a dominant 2020, but I think he's fine. It was really that just one horrible outing in Boston that he had that started like super early in the morning. So yeah, the velocity, all that stuff looks good with Giolito. He's too cheap. I mean, 8,700, he's just a better pitcher than that. So yeah, I think in this 8K range, Giolito, clearly the guy I'm looking at as well.
So is he like the only main guy you're looking at in this range, or could you be talked into anyone else just before we move on?
Clayton Kershaw at 8K, I mean, just such a cheap price point for him and what he brings to the table, but I just really don't like targeting pitchers against Houston. They're just so patient. And this game, I mean, the Dodgers and Houston, right? They always got the big rivalry with the cheating stuff from the World Series a few years ago. So I don't love rostering pitchers in games where the hitters are obviously all going to be just at their absolute peak of focus. You know what I mean? In this one, like two teams that are trying so super hard. So Kershaw, I think, is interesting, but Giolito, clearly the guy for me. Like you mentioned, Kluber, I don't think you can go back to him here against Toronto, who's hitting so well. Savale, I think, is okay at 8,300 against Detroit, but just doesn't have the same upside that these guys bring to the table. But he is super safe. I mean, they're letting him, last 4 games, 114, 107, 107, 100 pitches. He might give you 6 or 7 strong innings and a strikeout an inning, which, could be enough. But I think Giolito's the upside play here for sure.
Yeah, Tony, I know you hit on Giolito already. You can elaborate on anyone else in that 8K range and then bring it down even cheaper into this 7 and 6K range. Who do you got?
Yeah, so I mean, Giolito's my only guy, even in my player pool in this range. But the one guy I wanted to ask DC about, because I definitely look at the game logs. I like hot people. I just like to see good form. Freaking Gausman, you want to talk about a player card that the dude has crushed every single
I think Gausman's the outside of Burns, the best point per dollar player on the slate.
Like, I am stunned at how good he's been. I knew he was good. Like, I've seen him have a bunch of good starts just following it, but for whatever reason, he hasn't been on a ton of main slates in my head to where I don't know what it is with these games. Maybe I'm just wrong. But you look at this player card, it's unbelievable how good he's been.
Yeah.
And he's not really on the grid at all. He's got a good matchup versus Arizona. I mean, so you like him too. He just looks incredible to me.
So he's doing the same thing he did last year in 2020. So he went to San Francisco. He was a guy that I liked for a long time. He's got one of the best splitters in baseball, and he wouldn't throw it enough. His fastball's not that great. He needed to switch out, he needed to throw the 40-50% splitters. San Francisco realized that. They had him do it. Strikeouts went way up last year with them, and he's continued it this year. He's been awesome, and I think he's going to continue to be pretty fantastic. Another bonus with Gausman here. I think Arizona, we don't have their lineup yet, but I think they're going to roll out 6 or 7 lefties. His strikeout percentage actually much better against lefties because his best pitch is that splitter that moves, down and away from lefties. It's a better pitch against lefties than it is against righties. It has like a 40-50% whiff rate, something like that. So I think Gausman's got a good chance at double-digit strikeouts, 7,200. The roof is going to be open in Arizona. It's going to be like 97 degrees at game time. So that's a little bit of a worry, but you're rostering him, mostly for the strikeouts. If you give us a home run or two at 7,200, you're still fine as long as he gets 8+ strikeouts, something like that. So yeah, Gausman, I think is the best play down here. I mean, Big T, you mentioned Andrew Heaney, if you're going to fade him or not. I think Gausman is clearly just a better play overall, even when you take out ownership concerns. So, yeah, Gausman Burns kind of my number one pairing there.
Yeah, Gausman just seems underpriced, right? And
yeah,
Bart in the chat said roof being open, take you off Gausman at all DC. I mean, you hit on it, right? If he gives up a home run or two, but he strikes out 8 or 9 guys at that price tag, you'll live with that.
Yep.
Yeah, you're fine.
I think the goal in every sport is to find people that are underprojected that I just think are way higher. And I just don't understand. He's projected like 13, 15, 16 around the industry.
Is he really?
He's had one game below. I know you can't just go by this. There's good matchups, bad matchups. But if you go to a guy's player card and he's over 20 every game, I don't care. There had to be tough matchups in there a little bit. I mean, why are you only projected for 15 if you go?
I don't think this is a tough matchup.
Yeah, and it's not. It just doesn't make. Yeah, I mean, he's just underprojected. He should be projected in the 20s for sure, in my opinion.
Yeah, no question about it.
All right, so I mean, Gausman's a guy we're all interested in here, and anyone else in like the lower 6K range? I mean, Andrew Heaney's the one who seems to be getting a ton of steam.
I think he's the decision of the night, and I'm struggling with it. So I love the matchup versus Texas. I hate that he's chalk, though. I love fading spots like this. I want to hear what DC thinks, though.
I mean, he's just been all over the place. We've talked about him a lot on my pod. I mean, he's got 3 games over 30 DraftKings points on the season already. He's pitched like 8 times. He's just the kind of the true quintessential boom or bust pitcher. He can miss bats when he's on. When he's off, though, like he's throwing like a ton of sinkers. He's just a very weird pitcher where he throws like sinkers up in the zone. If he leaves those over the plate, they just get absolutely hammered. And that's when you see, he has all these blow up starts. It's impossible, though, to project on a start-to-start basis, right, how his command is going to be. That's kind of the whole thing with him. So I don't know, but I mean, he's clearly a good tournament play. Well, if you took ownership out of it, clearly a good tournament play, right, at 6,200, because he can put up 25, 30 DraftKings points. Most of these guys down here really don't have the ability to do that. So if you're playing a bunch of lineups, I would probably get a couple of shares of Heaney, I think would be the way to go. Do you think he'll be the highest owned pitcher on the slate, Big T?
I do. I mean, he's just so cheap for the matchup and the upside, like you said. His player card's the opposite of Gausman. I mean, you got a 30 and then a 4, and then a 30 and then a 2, and then, like DC said it perfect. It's a lot more risky, but the matchup's really good too. So.
Yeah, it is. Yep. I mean, I love targeting Texas, especially with lefties.
Huge park too. So, I mean. No, they brought the wall in and right, didn't they? Is that why?
Yeah, it's kind of neutral park at this point, but if you're trying to fade, the one thing I can say, his velocity on all 3 of his pitches was at the season low in his last start. Been sitting.
I don't want to play him. Like I just don't.
I'll give you a couple of ways.
Don't Tony. Come on, come to the Texas side. Come on over. All right, hang out with us.
What are your thoughts on Heaney, JSU?
So I personally think he's the perfect guy where if I'm not playing him,
give you a boner this matchup, JSU. You get to play your team against the chalky pitcher.
This is my point though, is if you don't like Heaney and he's popular, I mean, really what you want is for him to give up home runs, which he can do. He's had 2 games where he's given up 3 home runs.
That's his big thing. He gives up a lot of home runs. Yeah.
So, I think you play Texas bats if you're not playing him. Now, you don't have to go crazy and full stack it. You can full stack it. You could obviously just take out a couple of your favorite hitters. But it's going one of 2 ways, in my opinion. He's either giving you a solid fantasy game in which the Texas bats probably don't get there or they don't do that much, or he's given up 2 or 3 home runs. So I'll take those chances with those Texas bats that I haven't dove into their exact pricing, but I would assume they have to be somewhat. Oh my, they're so cheap.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, this is.
Adolis Garcia, Nick Solak, Joey Gallo, all these guys. Yeah.
This is criminal. Adolis Garcia is 3,400, and the guy's got 14 homers this season. What are we doing, DraftKings? I just gave you my homer of the night.
Where he should be.
Nope. I just gave you my home run of the night. I just let it slip. All right. That was going to be for members only.
I mean, if you're not playing Heaney, you got to pick out a couple of these guys, or at least one that you think.
At least one. I like the one strat. Like play Adolis Garcia. That's a good play.
There you go, Tony. Play him. Yeah. Yeah. Again, you don't have to full stack him if you're not playing Heaney. Now you can, but I personally think a mini stack.
I wish this was like last night's slate where it was 6 games and Heaney was crazy chalk. Then I would have been like, let's stack Texas, the whole thing. But this is just a huge slate with tons of good offense.
Yeah, 13 games, DC. There's no way I can talk Big T onto stacking Texas.
Not a full stack.
He's a Texas hater. I don't know why.
Down there, though.
Yeah. All right. So did we hit on all the pitchers, guys? Is there anyone else we need to talk up?
I'll throw in a couple more super cheapies. I think
our boy in at 5K. We keep playing.
No, I'm not playing him. I'm done. With 2 starts and I'm out.
When I finally don't play him.
He's dead to me, Logan Gilbert. I should have known never to play him. He looks too much like Titletown for me. So.
Oh, I wouldn't have played him either if I knew that.
Yeah. Tarek Skubal pitching for Detroit. He's got good stuff, good strikeout stuff coming off a 8 or 9 strikeout game. 5,500 against frankly a pretty bad Cleveland lineup. And then Kyle Freeland. I mean, we saw what Austin Gomber did to this New York Mets team. It's pretty much the same lineup tonight. He also throws from the left side. He did get up to, I think, 80 pitches in his last rehab start. So I think he should be pretty much good to go. Again, just if you need, if there's a stack that you like or you want to play DeGrom, I think Skubal and Freeland you can play for cheap if you want to.
All right, Big T, anyone else you wanted to add to Skubal and Freeland?
I mean, there's so many good pitchers on this slate that I probably won't go down there. I'd be lying if I don't want to play one team, though, with my boy Logan Gilbert because, man, he's been bad.
If we both fade him, he's going to have a big start.
I know he is because I loved him last time out.
But if you play him again, there's no chance. So you can't win.
I mean, I don't think I'm going to do it. It's that big tournament on DK today. I don't think I can burn one on my boy, but it's going to hurt me deep when he goes off tonight.
Stay tuned if Tony fades or plays Gilbert to actually find out if you want to play him because if you don't play him, Tony, he's going to go off too. That's the best part about this whole thing.
And the matchup, all right. I mean, you guys both like Oakland more than I do. I'm just not a big Oakland guy, so I kind of like the matchup a little bit. I can't play him on this slate, though. There's just too much pitching.
Yeah, I mean, I do like
Even
Oakland
if he
a little
goes
bit more.
Good, like he's not going to go crazy deep. So I don't think you need to go there.
Yeah, what do you go? 71
I know
and
he's going to
74
crush
pitches.
tonight, though, and I don't play him for a fact. So whoever's watching this and wants to really stick it to me, then play him tonight and send me a screenshot with him.
If you're someone who plays like a bunch of teams, a bunch of lineups, and you really want to stick it to Tony, I mean, play a few Gilbert lineups, and when he crushes, you can just screenshot it and own Big T. That's
Especially
the way to
when
go.
like Gaussman gets blown up in the same price range and just really taunt me.
All right. Before we get to the hitters, guys, reminder, hit that like button and subscribe to the YouTube channel if you want to be notified every time we go on with these free videos, which is pretty much every day. We have free videos for baseball right now. NBA is starting to die down a little bit, but we still got you covered with baseball and the playoffs for NBA too. So I know those guys on the next show will be talking some hoops on the premium show. So make sure you get over, sign up for RPS. Heater 25 is the code for 25% off your first payment for a monthly subscription. So 25% off RPS Heater 25. With that, all right, boys, let's go on to the hitters and 13 games. A lot of bats here at every position. So we'll start with catcher and work our way through. And DC, I'll start with you. Who are the top catchers to pay up for here?
I think you'll see a lot of people go to Gary Sanchez in that Yankees game against Mats, right? He gets the lefty, he's got the power. I don't fault anyone for going there, but yeah, I'll stick with one catcher. I got one catcher that is by far my favorite today, and that's Will Smith against Zach Greinke. I think you'll get him sub 5% ownership is my guess. People just don't roster guys against Greinke. But if you look at both of their splits, I've talked about this with Will Smith a lot. He is what looks to me to be extreme true splits that will continue going forward, where he's much better against right-handed pitching. Greinke himself, these last couple of years, is way worse against right-handed pitching. So reverse splits are pretty rare at MLB. These are two that I do believe in. I think people are going to overlook that. Will Smith hitting cleanup today for the Dodgers going into Houston. He's been swinging a super hot bat. I think he's a legit stud hitter, just not for catcher, just overall. Obviously, the Dodgers do too. They were hitting cleanup for fifth all year long. So Will Smith, 4,400. He's going to be by far my highest owned catcher tonight.
All right, Will Smith, Big T. What do you got here at catcher? Is it Will Smith?
I mean, I could be talked into Will Smith any slate. Like DC said, the dude's a stud. You're always I like playing Will Smith too a lot for whatever reason as a one-off. Like with
that's
whatever.
My plan tonight. I'm going to play him as a one-off. Yep.
I love that. Like, I don't like him as much in the Dodger stacks, as crazy as it sounds. It might just be in my head too. Another thing that just forms over the years, but I love like stacking whoever, Minnesota or something with Will Smith or whoever. He's just has so much upside at the catcher where most catchers are going to get you 2 or 5 or 0 or 3. And when he gets you like the 28 and you lap the field, it's just massive as a one-off. So, always can be talking to him. My favorite guy, though, is Garver. I know we usually like him against lefties better. Big Platoon definitely likes him better against lefties. But the dude is mashing
the ball. Going against Big Platoon. What's going on here, Tony?
Yeah, I mean, I just like him. And he's in that 6 hole, whereas like we've talked about on this show a ton as 3 tournament players. I love these guys 6, 7, 8 hole where you can really sell yourself, get them low on. No one's playing Garver tonight. And the dude is just crushing the ball. I think this Dean Kramer freaking sucks. So I can't wait. And I like the bottom. We already talked about our boy Ref Snyder down there with him. We'll get more into these other positions. But, man, sign me up for Garver. I like Garver a ton tonight.
My only problem with Garver, I mean, I again, obviously we prefer him against lefties. I actually think people will play him, though. I think a lot of people are
in the 6 hole?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are going to stack. I think so. I mean, I think he'll have, I'll say 4 or 5 times the ownership that Smith has, is my guess.
Really? Yeah, I mean, that could be a good pivot then, the Will Smith pivot.
That might be too many, but he'll be significantly more owned than Will Smith will, just because the Twins team total is so high. I think the Twins are going to be the most popular.
The Twins are finally going to.
I think the Twins are going to crush too, but there's a lot of good Twins you can play. You can leave out Garver, go to Smith if you want.
Yeah. And the cheap guy, too, before I forget, is Hedges. Our boy Hedges, Big Platoon, against a lefty, 2,700. I like Hedges. He's staring at me a little bit in that game.
So we have someone named Kevin Falik in the chat, Big T. Kevin Falik, K Falik.
Yeah.
He wants to ask us, y'all see the ump at Dodgers Astros?
There's no one that pulls their pants off and touches themselves more than K Falik to umpires. Like, he loves some umpires. Who is it? Who is it, K Falik?
Can you give us a chart as well?
Yeah,
he loves his umpires.
Please let us know the umpire.
I'm Big Platoon. He's big umpire because he.
Is he going to tell me I can't play Will Smith because there's a great pitchers umpire in the game?
Who is, I know.
I hope not.
Who is it? A really good hitters ump? I'm guessing. I'm assuming that's what he's going with.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hi, Kelly. You're over there, but. How are you? My girlfriend's saying hi to me.
He did. I will give K Falik the thing, though. He did call the Manny Pena dog yesterday.
Oh, I forgot about that, too. He totally called that dog.
That's a good one.
I swear to God, he has the random.
Stewart over Mountcastle.
DJ
He did. I'm
Stewart.
showing some respect to Mr. K Falik. He got it done yesterday.
And DJ Stewart, which I leaned K Fallick's side on DJ Stewart over Mr. Mountcastle. So me and K Fallick together owned Big T. Again, I love owning Big T. Oh, it's so fun.
I would have been on Stewart train as well. So yeah.
Oh, perfect. So
easy to say now, but I am once again tonight. Yeah.
There we go. I love it. DC's riding with us. Tony, you got owned by 3 of us here. How do you feel?
I mean, I like DJ Stewart, so like I don't know. If you guys were owning me, he treated me well. I'll get owned again tonight.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about here. All right, moving on to first base here. Big T, we'll go to you here with first base. And got some heavy hitters at the position here. Your boy Freddie Freeman starting to hit really well. Is it a Freddie day? What are we doing?
Yeah, Freddie started to get it going a little bit since we called him out. I don't know if today's the day, though. It's a huge slate. I don't know. He definitely is always in play. The guy that's just raking that I want to play at the same price point is Big Vlad coming against Mr. No-Hitter Kluber. Vladdy has crushed righties all year, and Toronto going against Kluber off that big game. Toronto hits freaking bombs, and they give you upside. I can't imagine anyone's going to play Vladdy, and I love him up there. You go down a little bit, I like Kirilloff almost as much, but he's going to be pretty popular, I imagine, in the
especially with the dual first base outfield. Yeah.
The duel is huge because you get him in the outfield. Yeah, everyone's going to play Kirilloff, but he's a great play. I mean, I love him tonight, so I still like him. Working our way down. I mean, is there anything in the super cheap range? Definitely Rowdy Roddy. Same reasons I talked about with Vladdy. No one's going to play Rowdy at 3K in the 6-hole against Kluber. I'll play him. I don't care. And our boy, DC called him at first, but Andrew Vaughn's down there super cheap. And he's
hitting up.
I know Flaherty isn't the matchup we love, but the White Sox are a team that can break any slate. And it's just ownership. I mean, they could easily score 10 runs any night with the power they got. I still got my eye on this White Sox team.
Yeah, I like those calls. Freeman, I think top option, but man, I think you'll get Vlad low owned, just because it's Kluber and right versus right and all that. So yeah, I think that's a good call. Both Twins guys. So you mentioned Kirilloff, probably my favorite when you take into account pricing. Miguel Sano, though, don't overlook him. He's been on fire recently. He finally got it going. And when he gets like a non-strikeout pitcher like Kramer, that's a great option. I really like Brandon Belt. I actually really like the Giants overall. I think they're going to go overlooked in Arizona, but they've been hitting well. Belt's showing good power. He had it last year too. It's carried over. And then if you want to go really cheap, you mentioned Andrew Vaughn. I'll throw in Albert Pujols into the mix down there. Hitting 6th, has already homered for the Dodgers. And like I mentioned, I do prefer right-handed hitters against Greinke. Pujols himself doesn't have many splits. So a couple cheap guys if you want to punt first base.
Albert Pujols, he still plays?
I think he's going yard tonight. He might be my dong of the day.
DC's ever brought up.
No, DC, you can't make him your dong of the day because I need to
No,
play.
he did not make it his dong of the day.
No, I said he can't do it because I need to play his dong of the day. I can't play Albert Pujols. It's a rule. I'll
find someone else, but he's on the short list.
Right, cool.
We'll have an Albert Pujols lineup. I promise you that.
Oh, I found my one boy I found a splits guy that I freaking love. Oh, how did I miss him? And he's on fire too. This is a Big T guy. You guys won't know who it is, but you'll know who it is as a player. You won't know that he's a Big T guy.
You gonna tell us the name?
Dusty. Who?
You gonna tell us the name, or are you
Dusty
just saying this guy?
I was leading up to it. But my man Danny Santana. Oh, I love Danny Santana. He always crushes for me. He's a big platoon. He falls into that category. 2,600, and he's eligible at first and outfield. God, I love Danny Santana.
Oh, you can just fit him in all your lineups. There you go.
That's the weird guy tonight. I always have the weird guy I like. He's the dude that's going to crush tonight.
All right. How cheap is he? Is he still like 2K? Oh, he's cheap. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
And he's on fire. Look at his 3 games with the team.
Oh, God, but my boy Rowdy's sitting there at 3K just staring at me.
He's eligible at outfield too, Danny Santana.
Oh, okay. There we go.
He does it all for us.
He's back in there. He's back in play. I like it. Yeah, Rowdy and Brandon Belt. I think DC's call.
I love Brandon Belt too.
Who?
Brandon Belt always comes through for me. I love Brandon Belt.
No, Brandon Belt. I like the Brandon Belt.
Yeah, Brandon Belt is definitely a good call. I like that. All right, let's move it on to second base here. DC, let's start with you at the top. I mean, Marcus Semien has been a guy that I've been rostering a ton. He's been crushing the ball lately. Yeah. Jake Cronenworth, another guy who's just starting to get real hot. Jose Altuve. What are we doing here at second base?
Well, you can take Jake Cronenworth against Corbin Burns. I'll leave that one to you. Ozzy Albies.
I played him last night against Woodruff. I'll play him. He's really good at the plate right now. DC. He's been really good.
He's a good hitter, but
Cronenworth knows how to use the bench.
He gets it done. I'll say that.
I love Ozzie Albies up here. I mean, I really, really like the Braves against Richards. I'm not buying this kind of resurgence from Richards. I did a little digging on him, and I think it's going to fall apart for him sooner rather than later. Nick Solak, though, Texas, going against Andrew Heaney. This guy's smashing lefties this year. He's got power. Little guy, but he hits the ball harder than you think. 8 home runs on the year already. And I love the matchup against Heaney. You get a little leverage there, too. So Solak, my favorite. If you need a punt, there is one really, really good one. Owen Miller hitting 7th for Cleveland. Stone minimum, 2K. Good power from the right side. And going up against Tarek Skubal, who I did say, does have strikeout stuff. But Tarek Skubal has also allowed the most home runs in the major leagues and the most barrels. So it's not just a fluke that, every decently hit ball he gives up is going over the wall. He's just getting smashed by righties especially, and he's wild. So, yeah, Owen Miller, 2K. I think he's got a decent chance to take Skubal deep tonight.
All right, Tony, you love the 2K guys. Are you on board with some Owen Miller?
I love when DC talks about these random dudes too, because these are the guys I like. I mean, I love the dude in the 7-hole for 2K that no one really knows that much about, I'm assuming, even though some of the sharper people will. I love plays like that. 2K is actually a sweet spot here because I like Joe Panic a ton too. 2K and that same match. I know I keep talking about these Toronto bats, but they have crazy upside, and you can go all the way down the lineup to play Rowdy in the 6-hole, Panic in the 8, Grichuk. I mean, they just have so much upside, even a punt catcher, Danny Jansen and stuff. You could play Toronto even as a mini stack, just Rowdy, Panic, and Jansen, 3 low-priced guys at the bottom of that lineup or something. I love that. So, yeah, him at 2K and Owen Miller at 2K. You can definitely go down to either one of them. And then up top, I mean, Ozzie Albies, DC was right. You click on his thing, he's finally just crushing the baseball, which is good to see because he was ice cold for a while there. I love Ozzie Albies tonight. Great spot there. Altuve, for whatever reason, Houston has always, because of all these battles in the big games, the World Series games and big games along the way, they have pounded Kershaw in a few really key spots, so they know Kershaw well. And Altuve has to be in play. Jorge Polanco is the best play to me, just if I had to pick out one guy. Love him in the 5. I know he'll be popular too, I'm assuming, in that Minnesota stack. I don't care, though, because Minnesota's going to score a ton of runs tonight, so I need exposure to them. They're one of those teams that I think is such a good stack that I just don't care about the ownership on a 13 game. They can't be high enough.
They're going off tonight. You just know it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just as good as it gets. The weather's good. The wind's good. The matchup's good. Everything about it is perfect.
Yep.
And luckily, we got a 13-game slate or whatever it is, so they can't be that high owned. Maybe they're 10% or something, but that doesn't worry me.
Who's this, Atlanta?
Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Oh, Minnesota. Okay.
Yeah.
Thought you were talking about Ozzie.
And the nice thing about Minnesota is I can make a case. Well, I would never play Andrelton Simmons, but the other 8 guys, I would play any of them.
Yeah, that's fair. DC, we're going to move it on to third base here. Jose Ramirez, Nolan Arenado, Bregman, all these guys up top, Devers. Is this a spend up spot for you, or are you going down more to this mid tier to find some value? Maybe Austin Riley's been swinging a real hot bat lately. Absolutely crushing the baseball. 4K for him. His price has barely moved. He was like 3,600 and he's been killing.
Yeah, he's an awesome play. For me, Jose Ramirez is kind of head and shoulders above the field, though, at least in terms of projection here. I mentioned Tarek Skubal just getting crushed by right-handed bats. Ramirez, obviously a switch hitter, swings well from the right side. And then Skubal, one of the easiest pitchers to run against, too. He's given up 5 stolen bases already on the year. Jose Ramirez has faced him, I think, has 3 or 4 career plate appearances against Skubal and has 2 stolen bases against him already. So he's going to be running if he gets a chance. Skubal is also one of the wildest pitchers. It's just, when these two face each other, it's going to be, Ramirez is either going to walk and steal or smash one, I think. These at bats, and then you get the Detroit bullpen. You're on the road, so you get the extra at bats there. Yeah, Jose Ramirez is a priority for me. I know it's expensive, but clearly the best play for me at third base tonight.
All right, Tony, do you agree with DC that Jose Ramirez is just head and shoulders above the rest of the field, or do you see someone else?
So this is where you guys make fun of me, but I don't care because that's how I play. But I don't play Jose Ramirez against lefties, so I don't know if that's right or wrong. I know I always get made fun of it. That's fine with me. I don't care. DC can laugh. Everyone can laugh. I don't play him against lefties, so he's a fade for me. And the good thing is, guys at the top I love, like Devers. I like Boston a lot versus Morton, and Devers has been crushing the baseball. I love him tonight out of the 5-hole. I can play him down there just looking at the bottom or middle to the bottom of that lineup. I love that Minnesota upside, Boston upside, I'm sorry. And I think they roll. I like them, and I always like Moncada. Even though it's against Flaherty, this White Sox team, I keep talking about it, but so much upside. I love Moncada, even against Flaherty. So those are my guys. You got Gio too. Looks decent in that mid range against Mats.
All right, I like it. I mean, Riley to me just seems like such an easy play at 4K. Sure. I mean, he seems underpriced. He should be closer to 5K than he should in this 4K range. So I'll take him. Let's move it on over though. Shortstop position, Big T. We'll start here with you. What do we got?
Yeah, so short. Is it, first of all, is Fernando Tatis seriously 6,600 against Burns? Whoa, is that the highest price ever? I don't think I've ever seen the 6,600.
I can't remember it if we have.
I mean,
and if it was, it had to be like an outfielder, right? First of all, like
6,600 though, like that is an outrageous price point that. It's so high that it almost makes you just want to play it just to like see like what I mean, that's just insane.
I will
and it's the toughest matchup on top of it.
Burns, like obviously hitters have a hard time making contact, but when they do, he will give up home runs just because he's that type of pitcher. Unlike Woodruff, who you just can't square up at all. And then also Burns is like the worst pitcher or one of the bottom 3 pitchers at holding runners on base. Tatis obviously. Super speed guy, got 10 stolen bases on the year. So Tatis does maintain his upside here. No question about it. You could even argue his upside is almost higher against Burns than some other pitchers, but you could just get absolutely mowed down. So I'll probably actually get a share of Tatis or two. I think that's a good call, Big T.
I mean, it's just the price point for a guy like that where
a one-off for me, but
like if you get to the end of your team and somehow you had 6,600 and shortstop left and he's your one-off, I mean, it's interesting for sure. Even though we both love Burns, it's just one of those things that. And he has the upside, obviously. I mean, I'm not saying anything no one knows. I mean, the dude is a beast. He could hit 2 bombs off anyone. So the upside's always there. I like that. I mean, and then you look – we were talking about shortstop, right?
Yeah, yep.
I mean, you have anyone else, though? Tatis is 6,600. You're going to play him against one of the best.
I don't need anybody because I got my boy Freddie Galvis at 3,200.
There you go. The position, it was wrapped up that easy, people. Freddie Galvis, that cheap. How is he that cheap still?
And he's going to hit second again, I'm sure.
I really like these Orioles lefties against Berrios. He's been getting crushed by lefties this year. And we've talked about it a couple times, but the weather in Minnesota and Minneapolis tonight is just ridiculous. 85 degrees, humidity, and 15-mile-per-hour winds straight out to center field. Like if you look at like Minnesota's not known as a great hitter's park in general, but it's freaking freezing in April and then into May, and then it's cold again in September. These type of games in Target Field, the ball absolutely flies. So that's why part of the reason we're so high on Minnesota. And then I'll take these lefties from the Orioles as well. You mentioned Galvis, haven't gotten there yet, but guys like Mullins, DJ Stewart, Santander, all these guys were heroes for us yesterday. I'll go right back to them. I have no problem. So yeah, I just love that game in general.
Yeah, and Steve Anthony, I am running low on the coffee, so you can grab me a nice black iced coffee, please. I appreciate it. Smaller, medium is where I'm at. So yeah, ice black, I would appreciate it. Yeah, and one other thing, guys, 592 watching. Big T, we got 170 likes.
Yeah, it's very hurtful when, these guys are bringing winners. I'm bringing some comedy. Everyone can laugh at me. We bring it all here. We need likes for this.
DC, we're bringing winners. Big T's bringing the comedy. What more could someone want?
I considered myself the funny man on the show, but I guess not.
I guess you just Big T owns you, I guess, in the comedy.
DC's never coming on and saying Danny Santana's the play of the night. Like, he doesn't have that kind of.
I thought we were talking.
Wait a second. He said Albert Pujols was his home run call. Big T, you laughed, so he's obviously pretty funny. All right.
Yeah, he did. He did say Winnie Albert the Pujols was his play. So maybe he is the funny one. I take it back. Me and JSU give the winners. DC brings the comedy.
Oh God, Winnie Albert, I love it. Right there, though, our likes just skyrocketed after Winnie Albert. Like it just rocket ship right up there. 213. We love it. We appreciate it, guys. Is that it? Shortstop, everyone?
I got some more shortstops because I do.
Go for it, DC.
Yeah. Ahmad Rosario hitting second for Cleveland, I think is a really good play against School. Again, he's got power and speed. Gio Urshela is a good play, but I think the best play here is Adalberto Mondesi making his return. Strained his oblique on the last day of spring training. Has been in the minor leagues, kind of doing a rehab assignment for the last week or so. I think he's good to go. To be honest, they've been really, really cautious with him. 2,500 for Adalberto Mondesi. If you don't know, power speed combination, especially the speed. I think he still has a good chance to lead the major leagues in stolen bases despite missing the first 2 months of the year. And Rich Hill, you can really run on. He's given up 5 stolen bases already this season. So Mondesi hitting 7th, not ideal, but it doesn't matter too much, obviously, when you're kind of depending on speed. 2,500. I think he's the best shortstop play on this slate.
I like that call. Like it a lot with the speed and the running ability on Hill. That's a good call there. All right, boys, let's move it on over to the famous outfield position where, everyone's just a good play. So let's refrain from giving all the players in the outfield as plays of the day. Let's try and keep it, nice and tight player pool for the people. So we're not like everyone else just telling you that every single guy in every range is good. DC, we'll bring it right back to you. Just give us like maybe 1 or 2 guys at the top that you really like.
Yeah, I'll give you a guy that'll be on a lot of my teams. That's Jesse Winker against Max Scherzer. I think Scherzer will get ownership. You're going to get leverage there. Winker has been the best hitter in Major League Baseball in just about any statistic this year against right-handed pitchers. Great hitting weather in Washington, D.C., hot, wind blowing out. And Scherzer himself is not quite as dominant against lefties as he is against right-handed hitters. So Jesse Winker, I'm paying that 5,400 price tag. I think he's taking Scherzer deep to start that game in DC. So he's my guy up top.
I like it against Scherzer, but he's been hot, so I can see it.
Just a one-off, right? Like Tatis, Winker, these guys are just one-offs for me. I'm not going crazy, but I think Winker's got a real good chance to take Scherzer deep tonight.
Yeah, I like it. I don't think anyone's going to go there either. Big T, what about you? Someone at the top that you really like today?
I don't necessarily. This is always what happens to me, and people that have watched my baseball shows for however long now, I just always get stuck playing stud pitchers, which is a good thing because these outfielders are so freaking cheap. There's these guys I love. First of all, Kepler, best stack of the night is Minnesota, and he's 3,900. Literally in the best possible spot in the one hole. Yeah, he's going to be chalky for sure, but just such a good play. And the other 2 Minnesota guys. If you play, who's the 3 that I had? Kepler,
Kirilloff, and Larnach.
Yeah, these dudes are all so cheap. I love Larnach tonight too because he's got to be one of the lower owned. Yeah. And they're going to crush. These guys are just great plays. The Baltimore guys, like DC said, Santander, DJ Stewart, are so cheap. This is why I don't really, like we were talking about pitching, and maybe we don't even need to go down for even like Gausman with the weather. Just play 2 guys, Giolito and these top guys. Maybe DeGrom comes more back into play as we go full circle on the slate. But these outfielders are so cheap. Why are we punting pitcher when we can love these outfielders anyways? I guess is my philosophy. And I love these guys, every one of them. I'm trying to find – Clint Frazier in the 7 hole too I like. I don't know, like the studs. If I had to pick one of the studs, I mean, you can always play Acuna, Soto. I mean, those guys, Judge, all the guys at the top are in play. I'm not saying don't play those guys. They're studs for a reason. But I like these cheap guys here.
Yeah, we got Joe Con in the chat saying Chris Davis for 2K. Anyone? Chris Davis
be playing him tonight.
No, thanks.
No Chris Davis for 2K from the panel, I think was
yeah, we like Ref Snyder. Of course, we've talked about Ref Snyder all show, Izzy.
Yep.
Even DC likes Ref Snyder.
That's for sure. All right. DC.
He's like, I think he's my 9th favorite twin, but yeah, he's a good play.
No, you like him more than Simmons.
You're right. Yeah, 8th favorite twin.
He's the man. We're gonna play him. Just don't everyone else who doesn't play him. He's come in really low on, so we're gonna get him in our lineups. DC, Tony talked about it. Cheap outfielders.
Yeah.
He seems to think that's where it's at. I kind of am on par with him too, just because there are so many good outfielders that I can find in these ranges. There's 13 games. I can easily find some cheap 3 to 4K outfielders to fill my lineups out where I'm probably not going to end up spending up. So what about you? Do you kind of see it the same, or do you see it differently?
No, I think it's a fair point. I mean, I can make a lineup for at every position with a guy under 3,200 that I like, that I think's got upside, and you can get 2 stud pitchers if you want to do that. Like, it's obviously perfectly viable play. I mean, Acuna hits 3 bombs, it's not going to work, but yeah, there's a ton of guys down there. You guys mentioned the Orioles guys, Mullins, DJ Stewart, and Santander, the 3 guys that I like the best. Some other cheap guys, Jorge Soler, he's 3,100. He's been unlucky so far this year, but he's got the huge power still against Rich Hill. I'm not worried about that matchup. Justin Upton facing a bad lefty. He's 3,300. He's got power. He'll be super low owned. You can kind of go up and down this list. Adolis Garcia, we talked about, getting players against Andrew Heaney, rather. If you're fading him, I think Adolis Garcia is the best option, at 3,400. Like you said, 14 home runs on the year. I mean, this is just ridiculous price point against a home run prone lefty. So he's a great play. So, you can completely punt outfield if you want to, but we didn't talk about many of the guys up top, and we don't need people to tell us Ronald Acuna and Juan Soto and, Aaron Judge are good plays. Like, of course they are. That's kind of why, I'm playing Jesse Winker, because I do think he's got a good chance, and nobody will play him. Most people, I think, are going to spend down at outfield. If you are spending up, you're certainly not playing Winker. So that's just, something I'm throwing out there in just in terms of a game theory type thought.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what people want. They want those, contrarian takes that not everyone's going to have. I think that's why a lot of people like these shows.
I gotta do too, before I forget it, because this is a great one-off play, I think. Speaking of spending up, but Yastrzemski, man, 5,700 in that heat in Arizona against a righty that I think they can hit around a little bit. No one's going to play that dude. He could break the slate late.
I would want to play him kind of in a full giant stack, but yeah, no, I think
I like him as a one-off. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, he probably is. He probably plays better in the stack, like you're saying, because
he just doesn't have a huge amount of power is the problem.
Yeah,
that's fair. 5,700. Yeah, no. Yeah, not a lot of people are paying that price tag for him. So interesting call there.
I wonder who will be higher owned, Yastrzemski or Winker.
I mean, they're both going to be probably. I mean, Winker's got to be lower.
Yeah,
but Yastrzemski's going to be low at 5,700.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're talking about like 2 percentage points, like literally, it's going to be I think that close.
I mean, that giant stack is
as we get. Man, I love the Giants tonight.
Show they're looking pretty tasty with those lefties in there.
All right, well, this is a perfect segue into top stacks and. Big T, why don't we start with you here? You like the Giants a little bit.
Yeah.
Who else is on your top stacks?
So I've talked about how I build baseball for a long time, but I like to either go all in on pitchers and kind of mix the bats all around, or the opposite, where I'll go 1 stack heavy or 2 stacks and then kind of play a bunch of pitchers. Tonight, I think I might just lock in on a few pitchers and play a bunch of different stacks, because there's a bunch of good teams. Like we just talked about the Giants, like you could play Yastrzemski, Dickerson, Belt, Crawford, even like a punt like Duger or whatever the hell his name is, as a stack there. I like that. But you can go up and down the list. We talked about Toronto. No one's going to play Toronto against Kluber. I mean, it's just on this slate, they're not going to do it. I think you can go there. There's tons of teams. And I mean, who's Boston. So Boston and the Giants are my two that I think are the sneakiest that I like.
All right, DC, Tony likes Boston a lot as a sneaky play. What about you?
Yeah, same game. I don't know if they're going to be sneaky. I like the Braves over Boston for sure. I just think Morton's a much better pitcher than Garrett Richards. And then I think kind of similar lineups. So I'm going to name four teams that I'm kind of focused on. And that's the Braves, the Indians against Tarek Skubal. I just think he's got massive blow-up potential. The Twins, I have to name them. They're just going off tonight. So, I know everyone's going to be on them, but
of our favorites.
They're just
You're not worried about any ownership or anything.
I have to name them because I just have so much faith in them tonight. And then the Giants as well. So, yeah, Twins, Giants, Braves, and Indians, my four.
All right. And JSU, I'm going to go in with the Giants and Twins. And I'm going to add the Texas Rangers as my final stack right there. Just own everyone who plays Andrew Heaney as chalk. I'm owning you today. My Rangers are getting it done. We're talking 3 home runs at least from the Texas Rangers. Big T, let's get it done. Can we get a windmill here?
We're definitely not windmilling at the Rangers. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, come on. I thought we were going to get them there.
The funny part is I do like the Rangers more than I have just because of that leverage. I love the idea of leveraging against Heaney, who DC talked about it. He has the highs and the lows. So if you're not playing Heaney, definitely like the Texas. I just don't know if this is the right slate for it. I mean, there's going to be some teams. We've talked a lot, too, how the Stacks hasn't won this season. I think Stacks will win tonight for sure because some of these offenses are going to go nuclear, and I would not have one-offs tonight. I mean, you can always build how we say it, a 5 or 4 and then a 2 or 3, but you need a couple one-off, not more than a couple one-offs.
I agree. I think you want to stack tonight in general.
Though, Tony, this is what I don't want you on Texas because this is what will happen.
I'm not going to be, so
Big T will get on Texas. And then at the end of the night, if Texas doesn't go off, he'll text me and he'll be like, I don't know why I friggin' played Texas. Oh, God. Like, I don't know what I was thinking playing Texas. Or he'll call me tomorrow.
You're not getting that text tonight, so you're good.
Oh, God. Don't play Texas. I want to be on an island alone with Texas.
You're on it. You can have it.
All right, we're good. All right, so home run calls, and then we got to get out of here because we got the premium Up to Lock show starting. We got our boys Hoop, Mangone, and Holden on that show. So that'll be at 5:30 p.m. Eastern in around 15 minutes. So make sure to check them out. If you're not a member, RPS Heater 25 is the promo code.
JSU, the dude in the chat said something incorrect. He hasn't seen a windmill since football. I windmilled at Rory. The only football the only windmill since football. I windmilled Rory after I looked at the poster behind me, and he went to win the tournament. The windmills are used selectively.
See, but that was a premium show, I think, Big T. So not everyone might have.
Well, he needs to be a member then.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you want. Oh, and by the way, speaking of shows, I'm not sure if it's going to be premium, but we are bringing back the Wednesday golf show most likely. So me and Tony will be on tomorrow. Wednesday night, 9 p.m. is usually when we do it. So make sure to tune in for that. If you're playing a little golf, we're going to be on talking some golf winners, right, Big T?
Yeah, we need to get DC on one of these weeks.
And that's when you might see the windmill. We could see it. Again, I don't know if Rory is in the field. I haven't looked at
I'll be showing up to the golf show if I'm promised a windmill, I'll tell you that much.
It really is. I mean, that's really what we come here for. That's I think why 80% of the people watch Tony talking golf. They want to see that windmill. They want to see him go up to Rory's picture, which half of you guys don't know what I'm talking about. But go up to Rory's picture, talk to him, ask him, "Are you in play? Are you? You're ready?" And then he gives him the windmill and he wins. Like that's what people want. That's what we're ready for. No, JSU is not getting drunk on the wine again. That is for Millie Maker winners only at RPS. So I'm going back to win a milli and JSU drinks on the show because it's too easy for people to win 5 figures at RPS. I figured that out real quick. It was like the next slate. So Big T will have to try harder.
I should impose that rule myself. No drinking unless someone wins a milli. That'd probably help me out a little bit.
Yeah, there you go. CDC, we can get on it together. Well, I'll text you. I'll be like, DC, no one won a million. No drinking today. We'll text each other, make sure. I'm good, though. I'm ready to go. All right, so home run calls, boys. Let's get them, and let's get out of here for the next show. DC, you locked and loaded? What do we got?
Yeah, I'll give you 2 guys. They're going to combine for less than 5% ownership. Talked about them previously. Jesse Winker and Will Smith.
Jesse Winker and Will Smith. All right, I like it. We got my girlfriend in the chat saying, please no wine drinking. Yeah, I agree. I didn't feel so great the next morning after the wine drinking. She knew all about that. So, yeah, I'll try my best. Vodka, Bryce? No vodka. Last time I had vodka was at a wedding that I was in about 5 years ago. That was a really, really bad night. Big T, home run calls for you. What are we, a workbench play?
Yeah, the workbench play. My favorite play of the night has to be Jorge Polanco. I love him in this spot. Perfect spot. I like him better against righties. I mean, Minnesota, we talked about stacking all these teams. I mean, they're going to crush. So we always talk about overcomplicating things. I need to just jam Minnesota in there and then fill in pieces around it because they're going to crush. We all agree on it. Jorge Polanco, though, my favorite play. And the sneaky play, like I said, Danny Santana in that 7-hole. I love him tonight against Morton. No one's going to play him. Eligible at 2 positions. Those are my guys.
Yeah, Tony A., I got you. My favorite play today, it's my boy, Adolis Garcia. 3,400 is just way too cheap. Big T, I told you not to play a Texas stack. I did not tell you to fade my guy, Adolis Garcia at 3,400. He better be in your lineup or I'm not showing up to the Wednesday golf show. You're going to find a new host.
DC's in. He told me if I windmill, he's in.
All right, DC, you might have to cover for me because if I don't see Adolis in one of Big T's lineup,
I don't have the Bermuda bent grass cut knowledge of Uncle T.
You know how to drink though.
That's
all
right.
you gotta do is know how to drink.
You know how much salt is in the grass or whatever? Yeah. Can you give us that? Like
the sticky factor of the rough? It's not my thing.
Not your thing. Oh God. All right. That's going to do it for us, guys. Again, if you want more of this content, core plays, playbooks from our guy DC, Big T, and maybe even myself, you can find them over at Run Pure Sports. Use the promo code RPS Heater 25 to get 25% off your first month's payment. With that, for Draft Cheat, Big T, I'm JSU. We'll see you guys later.